Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. We are beginning to wrap up today. This is my last guest, but not the least. This is Zahide Wallace, Zahide Love Wallace. She is a real estate guru, a dear friend, and she has agreed to come on and talk about, we're celebrating with a series on the TED Show, Black History Month. And so we're going to talk about that, talk about celebration, why it's important, and get a little 411 on you. Welcome. How are you today, love?
I am well. How are you, Ted?
I am well. Your background, we talked before we went live. Your background looks so much better than mine. I definitely want to be outside. It looks absolutely gorgeous.
Outside is fantastic.
It's awesome. All right. So for those people who don't know you, we talked about origin story. It's super important for people to, I think it's good to get to know someone a little bit. So give us some of your origin story so that we can understand your journey.
Sure thing. So I am first generation American. And, a lot of people I teach, I coach. As you already know, I'm in real estate. But aside from selling, I work with brand new agents, producing agents, you name it. And your origin story is important on your journey. And so I've shared mine a few times. And I'm first generation American. And my family is from Honduras. And I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, to a teenage mom. And from there, I moved to Orlando very suddenly. I didn't know that I was going to be living here, but around, 20 years old, I believe, I came on vacation and pretty much never left. But as far as my origin is concerned, my entire family speaks Spanish. I speak what I call survival Spanish. And so what that basically means is that if you force me to speak Spanish, I will speak Spanish with you and to you. I understand it. So if you're speaking around me, I do know what you're saying. However, when it comes to actually engaging, and I'll be 1,000% honest with you, I wish that I embraced it more growing up. That my family taught it to me more growing up. I do represent for the Afro-Latinas. And so it's...
Oh, you said it right, though. You got the whole...
I told you, I've got it. But the thing is, it's just... I celebrate Black History Month from a Afro-Latina perspective.
I love that. Explain. So this is why we have these conversations. Somebody who's sitting there watching the show... explain what Afro-Latina means.
Right. So growing up, a lot of people, and of course, remember, this is Bronx, New York. I mean, it was quite the melting pot. And people really didn't know what Honduras was or is. They just had no idea that Black Hispanics existed. And so explaining to people that, yes, my whole family speaks Spanish, but you don't look Hispanic. Okay, well, what does Hispanic look like? And then speaking, having friends that were Black, but wait, but you're different somehow. So why are you the way that you are? And having to explain, my entire life has been explaining my Blackness and explaining my heritage and my culture and, and all of the different things, and really realizing very quickly, and I think more so adopting, I am an American, I am a Black American woman, right? And then having to learn what that is on my own, because my family did not grow up in the American Black experience, right? So
they didn't have the same. Oh, did your family ever mention that they experienced any kind of discrimination where they were, or it was just culturally it was just all accepted?
And I wouldn't say that it's culturally accepted. From a global perspective, you've got to understand that Blacks around the world have experienced some sort of racism at some point in time, right? And not even just and I don't want to dive too deep, but I think that my people of color around the world will understand when I say that there are shades of Black, that there are different levels of experience and racism and expectation that have been placed on people. And so while we're having the Black experience in the United States, my friends in India are having a different experience from that perspective. There are, just different shades of racism. And so from the Honduran experience, if you saw my family tree, honestly, Ted, you could literally be my uncle.
I'm old enough, that's for sure.
And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but what I'm saying is that I have people in my family that look exactly like you. And then, I have literally every single shade is in my family tree. And for me, it's been a beautiful dynamic, a beautiful experience. And it's been petrifying as well because, I'm told, or I was told growing up, look, you go to school, you make straight A's, you get an education, you do everything you need to do, and you're going to rise to the top. You're a superstar. You got it, right?
Yes.
And then I get there, and it's not the same experience. I had to find out that I was Black.
Isn't that fascinating to me? I love that. Because you hadn't, it wasn't a focus around you until somebody challenged you on it or made it a focus or pointed it out.
Right. And so I think that if I had to just if there was one key takeaway that I would love your audience to know and to understand, there is, and I'm going to say something like really, really just, it's everyone's just got to hold on with me here for a second. Okay. So I've been a fly on the wall or engaged in conversations where there's this idea that Blacks have the same opportunity and experience that everybody else has. Like, just fight for it, just work for it. Just, there's no such thing as white privilege. There's no such, and the truth of the matter is that, Ted, this is real. Yes. This is real. And again, I just want to repeat what I said. I found out that I was Black. I didn't grow up thinking that I wasn't capable or that there weren't opportunities available to me. I mean, I'm pretty much, I was born and raised in the Bronx. I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm a city girl in Florida. Like, I grabbed the bull by the horns, right? And so going in there and going after it is not something that is foreign to me. I'm willing to do what it takes. I'm willing to do the work until I realized that there's a barrier to success, right? And that is how I ended up in real estate. And it ended up sounds really, really bad. Trust me, I love this industry. I didn't end up here. I was let's just say an accidental tourist that fell in love and stayed, right? Just the same way that I came to Florida. But in real estate, I was able to make my own choices, make decisions for myself, become my own CEO, promote myself, gain access that I didn't have access to before, read the things that I needed to read to get to where I want to go. I make my own decisions. And so I'm excited to be where I am. I'm excited. And trust me, I've had people of all colors, communities that have supported me, that have helped build me up. But I had to go find those people very intentionally rather than being in corporate America. And the only people that I have to rely on are the ones that are in my face. Now I just go find them.
Do you feel like, because I want to talk about Black History Month, do you feel like we have made progress? Are we in a better place than we were? We've talked on several shows, it's been brought up, where we talk about how there just seems to be a lot more hate speech out there. But we also talk about how that doesn't mean that it didn't always exist. Mm-hmm. We've just got a spotlight on it and people are feeling more comfortable being that way. How do you feel about progress? Are we still moving forward? What's your thought process as a Black American woman?
So yes, there's progress. And I feel like I need to explain from a micro to a macro. From the micro perspective.
Oh, look at you educating me right now.
The micro perspective is finally not being told that that you're crazy, is finally coming through this and from the perspective of this is real. You're not making it up. You have literally been experiencing or having these types of experiences that people truly didn't understand, and now they see. So I get conversations all the time. It's like, oh, the light bulb has finally gone off, where they finally get it. and they're finally confronting, you know, the things even within them that they never realized were societal. I mean, these are things that need to be undone. There are structures that just need to be torn down. There are ideologies that just need to be torn down, right? And so
Yes.
from the micro perspective, it's been exciting to finally be able to have conversations with everyone and you know, having a platform. Ted, thank you so much for being able to, you know, for doing this. But a this is a healing, you know, it's an incredibly empowering and healing opportunity to say, you know what, somebody wants to hear what you have to say and what your experience has been. And then
I,
from the macro, my
oh yeah,
hope is,
macro. Yeah, that's right. You're going to macro me
I'm
now.
going to macro it out. And the macro is being able to touch other people and say, I hear you, I see you. And then what can we do to make this better? And so there have been many companies that have been very performative. I work for a fantastic company, Keller Williams, that is not performative. I mean, we are literally in action all the time and working towards making sure that we're a company that other agents are attracted to and that our customers are getting equitable service. I love that.
I love that too. And I think it's important. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this show as an old white man and focus is because I think it's important for everybody to feel comfortable asking intelligent, heartfelt questions and having the dialogue remain open. And I think a lot of ignorance comes from, and people stay ignorant because there's a fear factor. They want to know more, but they're afraid that they will not look good, look stupid. The response will be negative, probably because they've been indoctrinated that that's exactly how it's going to go.
Right.
But these kinds of putting a face, we talk, obviously, when I think of Black history, I think of Martin Luther King Jr. That's one of the first people I think of. But putting a local face with an entrepreneur, with a Black woman, I think these are the important things to show that, yes, if you have a question for Zyde, the dialogue should be okay for you to ask a respectful, intelligent, heartfelt question so that you can become educated, not to have an argument about.
Yes.
And that's really where I feel like the more shows we do like this, the more awareness, which brings me to Black History Month, the better. And if you think we need to be talking about it more than just February of every month, but I think we need to be continuing the dialogue, and at least this opens the door for some people. So tell me, do you celebrate Black History Month itself, and what do you do if you do celebrate it?
Ted, I celebrate Black History life. Okay. It's not just a month for people of color. I mean, this is our lives. This is our world. And we have to celebrate. We have to not just celebrate, you know, for our children and for the community, but every single day I have to celebrate my wins. I have to celebrate even my losses, because you learn through the losses, right? And so, so as being a Black woman, first generation, college educated, a business owner, chasing my dreams, having 4 wonderful children that are chasing their dreams, 1 in the military, 3 are college. You know, I'm that is a celebration in itself, right? And so Black History Month is an opportunity for, in the macro, everyone to really just get a feel of what we experience regularly every single day. And so, you know, Martin Luther King, you know, but we know we celebrate. There's just so many people, and there's so many opportunities to shed spotlights on the people who don't get national, global recognition. And I encourage your audience to do that today, to pick up the phone and go celebrate someone who's winning, you know, someone who's just doing it. And
well, I think it's interesting because when all of the horrible stuff happened with George Floyd, we began to see a movement, I feel like, shedding the light on a lot of the crazy cockroaches that are out there, which is good. But we also began things like use Uber Eats, for example. There was an entire section on Black-owned restaurants that were on there. So I feel like the needle moves a little bit. We're making progress, but we have to continue to have those conversations. And that's why the month is so important. It should spotlight people like Zyde, and then I had Annette Hemphill earlier, and Black leaders, Black entrepreneurs, people who are making a difference, who can motivate and inspire. and then open up the eyes of the people who are sitting in that middle fence all the time in the gray area, and really challenge them to come out of that gray area and embrace Black history, Hispanic history, LGBTQ plus, any disenfranchised group. And so that's why I feel like Black History Month for me is so important for us to continue to have the dialogue. But you live it every single day, like all of my guests have said, all of my Black guests. And I want to bring up something you mentioned. You're Honduran. And I struggled in the beginning, again, having the open dialogue as to whether I said we're going African-American. It's an interesting thing. For a very long time, that has been the buzzword is acceptable. But I've noticed a shift because it doesn't include Hondurans necessarily. And so there's a whole generation. So I love the fact that we are back to embracing the word Black.
Yes.
And it not being a negative thing coming out of my mouth or someone else's mouth, that we can actually have a dialogue about that. Not that there aren't African Americans. I'm not saying that. But I think Black is such it encompasses a lot more, and it's a powerful word.
Yes.
And I love the fact that we are moving toward continuing to embrace that. So, but even I didn't know. Like, I was like, gosh, should I say African American? You know, you get conditioned to say one specific thing, and it's good for us to continue to have the conversation.
Well, and I think what it is, Ted, is that we took Black back.
You did take Black, yes.
We took Black back. At the end of the day, you know, it was. Whether you considered it derogatory or not, you know, we have literally, I mean, the campaigns. My Black is beautiful, you know. There's just so much associated with being Black, and we've taken our power back.
Yes.
And so I'm excited to be Black. I'm excited to be African American, because, you know, that is what I am as well. You know, all of our ancestors came from Africa, point blank, period. Yes. In Honduras, same thing. You know, they actually, so I come from the Garifuna culture, and they actually got shipwrecked in Belize and then migrated to Honduras.
Wow.
Africa. Okay. We came from Africa. We all did, right? And so Black is a culture. African American is, you know, I'm proud of everything. Ted, you call me your friend.
That's right. That's correct. That's correct. One last question before we go. When I say the word hero, who is the first person that comes to your mind?
Oh, man. Ooh, I wish I'd had that question in advance.
No way. That's what's the fun about it. Because we want to know what the initial reaction. You know, some people have said mom, grandma, dad. Some have had heroes like Martin Luther King Jr. Sure. It's always good to ask people that, because it gives a good perspective on what's important to that individual.
Right. And I'll try not to dialogue. Honestly, my very first answer, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I mean, that is my absolute, you know, if there's anything to meet, that's my bar. However, to give the, you know, the more canned response, the expected response, honestly, I give a lot of, I have my aunt, Adelina, who is, she's been amazing. She's my hero. She's been my mom, you know, not just my aunt, but she has just been the most energetic, the most amazing mom, amazing wife, amazing educator. She's just done so much for her family. And she's been the one that anytime I'm like, okay, how do I handle or tackle this situation? I always think in my head, okay, what would my tia do?
I love it. That's so awesome.
Yeah, she's my hero. She didn't know I was going to say that, so I'm going to have to.
No, that's why I asked, because I think we have to give more shout out to the people who have meant something to us, who have impacted us, and our society is, you know, a little quieter on that than I'd like to see. And it's always good to see people's faces light up when they talk about their hero, and it happens every single time. All right, Zahide, how can they reach you? What's the best way for them to find out more about you and real estate and all the wonderful things that you do?
Absolutely. And I do want to put out there that if you have tough questions, I am excited to have a conversation with you. You know, I'm happy to be that person for you. If you have any questions or just want to have lunch and have a conversation, they can reach me via email. It's my first name, Zyde at myhouseorlando.com. If you go to my website, myhouseorlando.com, there's a contact, all my contact information is there. Feel free to reach out to me on social media, Instagram. I'm all over the Instagram and Facebook. And then, of course, my phone number, 407-967-5142. Call me, text me. I'm here for you.
Appreciate you. Love you to pieces. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey. And thanks for coming on during our series, Black History Month. I think it's important for us to continue the dialogue, and you certainly helped that. I appreciate you so much. You guys reach out to Zyde. I've got the website scrolling there, but of course she's on social media and I've tagged her. Thank you so much.